One driver who is on Radioactive pretty regularly, Ross Chastain, though. Here we see his numbers. Best finish is second on the year, 4 top fives. And it just seems that Ross is always in some kind of a conversation. He has a very aggressive driving style. But this past weekend, a run-in with Brennan Poole. What did you make of what you saw on track?
Yeah, the incidents specifically at Dover, Caitlin, that was uncalled for. You know, this wasn't for position for Ross and Brendan. He was working to try and race a car that he was racing for position. Brennan Poole and I think Austin Dillon, as you can see right here. And Ross just this is a bonehead move. This is something where Ross wasn't using his brain. He was just thinking about being on the throttle, and you can only be excused so many times. And I look at Ross's situation from a bigger picture. Ross's aggressiveness is one thing that makes him appealing to fans and to car owners and to sponsors, and that's a great attribute that Ross has that makes him a fast race car driver. But it's also a liability, because when you make that many enemies on the racetrack, it might not come back to burn you next week or in 5 weeks, but over the course of a season, it will prevent him from winning some more races or contending for a championship. You can't continue to do this, but he's kind of made his bed, Larry, and I think he's saying, hey, I'm sorry sometimes, but I'm not sorry, and it'll be interesting to see which road he takes.
Yeah, I mean, I have defended Ross many times. I go back to Talladega when he got a bum rap about that situation in turn 2 late in the race with Noah Gragson. We went back and looked at it. Noah Gragson moved up the racetrack, and you could have drove the Queen Mary through that hole that was there. And then Noah comes down, Noah gets up into the wall. But to David's point, lap 80 of a 400-lap race at Dover, totally uncalled for. If he'd have just given it just a little bit of a beat, he'd have probably cleared the 15 car before they got off turn 2, and he went on down the road. But the one thing that Ross has to also, he's just got to learn when to and when not to. And lap 80 is not the time to. The other thing I think he's got to get rid of is this I'm sorry. I think the competitors are more over that than they are what he's actually doing on the racetrack. I'd take my kids, and they would do something over and over and over, and they'd say, I'm sorry, Dad, I won't do it again. That would make me madder than what they were actually doing. Just stop right. Saying I'm sorry and just make good of it.
Yes, yeah, we've heard a lot of apologies throughout the course of the season from Ross Chastain. Let's look once again back at the leaderboard and focus in on the 3 team of Austin Dillon, who is way below the cut line currently in that 31st position. You see, his best finish is a 3rd thus far this year, though. Only 1 top 5 and 2 top 10s. Their penalty, 60-point penalty, was upheld this week by NASCAR. Keith Rodden, though, the crew chief who was suspended, will be back with the team this weekend. That's a good thing. Hopefully they can kind of get things moving. But as you would say, this is a vertical mountain, right? Isn't that the phrase?
Well, it is. It's a vertical mountain for a couple reasons, but we do have a lot of racing to go. We have 15 races at a variety of racetrack. We've got a lot of stages, a lot of stage points, so it's very doable. But to me, to your point, where it gets very vertical is the performance. You spoke about it. 1 top 5 finish, 7 finishes of 20th or worse. But I do go back to last year when we got to that final race, the regular season finale at Daytona. They repped it up and went out there and won the race in a must-win situation. But I don't think they want to be in that situation again.
You don't want to have your backs against the wall. If you do think of a team and a driver that has been able to win some of these unexpected races, it is Austin Dillon. You think of, his win at Charlotte, his win at Texas a few years ago. He's able to pull through, but you don't want to run through this summer stretch trying to count on one race to win, because guess what? There's 25 other drivers that are trying to go for that race win as well. But at the end of the day, averaging a 22nd place finish, that's not going to cut it to find victory lane or to race your way in. So I agree with Larry that there's still a lot of racing left. Having Keith Rodden back as crew chief hopefully will calm that ship down a little bit. And if they can start chipping away at it, there's certainly light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, even if you clean it up by winning a race, if you don't clean up these finishes when you get to the playoffs, it's not going to bear a lot of fruit.
Hey, race fans, thanks for watching our video. For all NASCAR on Fox News, content, and the best clips from Fox Sports, be sure to follow and subscribe to our channel.